is 2025 the year of breakups? I recently had a long term relationship ended in the most respectful and amicable way. Even though there was no drama, no bad blood, the heartbreak, of course, still wrecked me. So here I am, in the aftermath of the breakup. What you see in this video is probably 20 to 30% of real life where I could actually go outside and eat somewhere nice. The rest, honestly, I've just been going through the emotions. Or I would just be at work and trying to focus on work, which has been really difficult at the moment. I cried so much. I grieved the relationship and have not been able to focus on that many things, which honestly is also understandable and normal at this stage. Okay, firstly, I think it's very important that I acknowledge my own heartbreak. I think with relationship and love, sometimes people can downplay their own feelings or downplay other people's feelings. So saying things like, "Don't worry, you get over it," or "Hindsight is 2020, how could you not see it coming?" or "People are dealing with worse things every day," are not helpful at this stage. Of course, I know everyone is going through something and I'm not oblivious to what is happening in the world. But when dealing with such a big life event, I think it's one of the times where it's perfectly helpful and normal and good to acknowledge that I need more support in my own world and ask for support from loved ones. Talking about my emotions is already so vulnerable to my own circle, so having strangers guilt tripping this experience would be very unnecessary. So please do not be mean. I will not share the private details of the relationship, but what I can talk about and what I want to share is the emotional waves that come after the breakup. Things are quite recent for me, but I feel like I have realized some important perspectives that might be useful to some people. But again, I am still a human at the end of the day, so even though what I'm talking about here might seem very clear and linear and well thought out, trust me, in real life, of course, I spiral. So you're not alone with dealing with the emotional roller coaster. I think that every relationship and heartbreak is so personal to each person. In my case, it was a very long relationship that was very fun and loving for the most part, but we still needed to part ways. And even though I had enough information and context about the breakup and were both very respectful to the other person, it was still really sad. It was sad to say goodbye to him and to say goodbye to all of the memories, the daily routines, and what I feel like all that I've known in the past and all of the future dreams. In the beginning, every time I went outside, it feels like every part of the city was just a reminder of the relationship and of past memories. Which made sense because you cannot immediately untangle of the emotions and past memories, right? You know, love is so fun and precious and filled with butterflies, but also so vulnerable and personal. No wonder why, even for an extrovert like me who can talk about anything with anyone, I'm so much more careful when talking about romantic relationship, both online and in person. I think one is, of course, a relationship involves another person and not just me, so some details are better off being private. But I think the other aspect is that sometimes we might feel afraid to show other people our vulnerability and our shortcomings in love. We're scared of showing the cringy but also very human and cute side of us when we're down bad over someone or when we have a crush. We're afraid of being hurt. We're afraid of the sadness when a relationship doesn't work out for any reason. Afraid of the embarrassment of quote unquote not making the right choice. We're afraid of giving up something precious even when it's no longer working after years of intertwining our life with another person. We worry if it's too much to talk about the same breakup again to our friends. We worry how to be productive and function normally and how to change up our entire routine, our look, and hit the gym and eat well and meditate and pray and love again after a heartbreak. Even when what we need right now is just to admit these feelings to ourselves. Despite of the possibility of heartbreak, getting hurt, and starting over, I still think that love, whether it's a emotion, a verb, or a noun, is still so beautiful. I still remember how funny and sweet it was when I was so giddy, when I had a crush on this person. And I still feel that it's very sweet to remember of the good memories. And I still feel very grateful to know that I was deeply loved and also loved deeply. I also realized that love is still everywhere, even when my relationship ended. After the breakup, my close circle has been the real MVP. I am just so grateful to all the friends who have listened to my stupid thoughts and my crash out and all of my spirals on the daily, and people who have held me and let me cry when I needed to. Many of my friends don't live in the same city as me, but surprisingly, this is one of the times where long distance friendships really shine. The first few weeks where I was just a mess, I would just call up one friend and then they would have to go to work or go to sleep, and then I would talk about it all over again to a different friend who was in another time zone. And with each person that I talked to, I realized that the heaviness of the breakup was less and less. Not because it wasn't painful anymore, and not because I stopped grieving the relationship, but because I realized that talking about it with people that I trust really opened this portal of connection with people. It was just really wholesome and so genuine. So thank you to all of my friends who are listening and my friends who have been there through all of the stages. Thank you for all of your messages, reels, photos, snacks, and notes that you send my ways. And thank you for hugging me when we're in the same place, bringing me all of the childhood snacks, and making me drink water, crying with me, putting on a face mask for me when I was crying, believing in me, and never making me feel isolated. I will never run out of good things to talk about each of you. So thank you so much. All right. So in terms of my recent reflections, they are not a how-to guide of how to get over heartbreak, but more like some thoughts and coping skills that have been really helpful to me. So just take what resonate with you, okay? Firstly, throw all the feelings into a playlist. I have my own breakup playlist, and honestly, it's just so entertaining to see how the vibe swings from being down bad to hyping myself up to missing what I had to feeling peaceful and then spiraling all over again. And it's only when I start making this playlist that I realize that wow, there's so many songs about love and so many stages and types of love. So I love music so much. Secondly, I try to find humor and lightness in the little things, even when I feel so heavy with sadness sometimes. For example, the other day I was cooking and then I realized that my olive oil was still 2/3 full, and I was thinking to myself, oh my god, imagine having a relationship ended and running out of olive oil at the same time? That would be so diabolical. So I'm so glad that I still have my olive oil. So things like that. Those little moments really help me feel less crazy and just smile and laugh more. Thirdly, try to not isolate yourself. Even though a relationship is such a personal experience that only the people involved truly know what happened and only I would know how I'm really feeling, I do my best to ask for support shortly after the breakup. That means sharing how I feel to the people I trust and process things with my therapist, asking my friends and loved ones to check in on me, or go outside for a walk when I'm able to. It's still really difficult to get out of bed some days, but each time that I step outside, I still feel like 5% better. And eventually, I'm able to get on with my day. The fourth reflection is to feel the feelings. I let myself cry about all of it as much as I need to, which actually has been really helpful in helping me find little pockets of peace more frequently. I also do not try to erase the memories or erase the person out of my mind. I think the more that I try to convince myself that he or the relationship never existed, the harder it is for me to process my feelings. And honestly, how can you process something so impactful and so big if you pretend that it was not real, you know? So I welcome all the tears when they come, and I expect more tears to come in the future, but that's okay too, because I know that by then I'll probably have some new perspectives and more empathy towards myself, my emotions, and the relationship. The fifth thing is journaling. I let myself think through all of my thoughts, but also write them down when I need to. I've had many years of processing my emotions in my journal, so it has actually been so helpful to have a place where I can just put down my thoughts without any judgment. I must have written like thousands and thousands and thousands of words about this relationship at this point. Eventually, I think I'll get to a place where I can address more of what I wrote to myself than to my partner, which is a good thing because I feel like it will help me be more honest about my feelings and be more honest about the relationship and what my needs are in the future. The next thing that I would remind myself is that even when the breakup was civil and respectful, it's still okay to feel hurt and spiral after. When things end with a good person, it can be so disorienting. It made me question everything. It made me terrified of thinking of one day dating again. Because if a kind, fun, loving relationship didn't last, then what will? But again, even after I spiral and looking at the relationship in multiple angles, I still think that it was very brave for my ex and I to admit to ourselves the very important things that we couldn't reconcile anymore and ended the relationship with respect, even if it once brought us so much joy. It was so painful to watch both of our worlds crumble apart. But many things can be true at the same time. We were good people, but there are also many important things that we couldn't work on anymore. And letting the relationship go was still the right thing to do. Only the people behind closed doors really know what happened. So breaking up, especially when there is love, respect, and kindness involved, can be so difficult. So if you're going through something similar, I really, really hope that you also give yourself the credit for being honest and acknowledge that it's painful. No matter what side of the breakup that you're on, no matter the length of the relationship or the reason to break up. Then, of course, take care of yourself. For me, this has been looking a bit different each day, but the main thing is I remind myself that productivity should be the last thing that I need to be hard on about right now. I totally underestimate how difficult it is to focus and to work properly after a breakup. The first few days after the breakup, I crawl to work and make a list of truly important things, like reminders of important work deadlines and also reminders to pay my bills on time and pay my credit card on time. So things that are truly, truly important. And then I evaluate which deadline can be cancelled or extended. The Monday that I was back at work, I was supposed to give a presentation, but ended up telling the team to cancel it last minute. And even though I'm very thankful that my colleagues and manager have been so understanding, I need to thank myself first for realizing that I needed to cancel it. Because frankly, the world would not end if I didn't present. But I would have died if I had gone through that presentation. And soon again, I had another work presentation, and it actually went really well after. Not because I magically pulled myself together, but because I gave myself that space at the beginning to just fall apart first. And I let myself cry, let the wave pass, and then only did I start to focus on work slowly, slowly again each day. Because that's the only way to prevent burnout for myself right now. The next reflection is that there are still so many new places to discover. So do not walk towards their area. This is especially important if you work or live near them. And if you stumble in the areas that you used to go to with them, try your best to exit that area quickly, go home, and forgive yourself. I recently walked around old places that reminded me of the relationship recently, and it was such a bad idea. It didn't do me any good to keep reinforcing the same patterns and seeing the places that we used to go to when I'm not ready. Of course, it was just so disorienting and so sad. But the good side to all of this is that I think I'll get to discover that there's still many cafes, restaurants, and places in Toronto to enjoy. I also learned to forgive myself with the decisions that I made when I'm hurting. And I do my best to keep myself safe, which means at this time, I gotta find new places to go to instead of going to the ones that reminded me of the relationship. Finally, one of the most important realizations is that a relationship ended is not a failure or a reflection of your worth. In my case, my relationship was very long and I was with a very kind person. But I still felt so embarrassed when breaking the news to friends and loved ones because I felt like I failed to keep the relationship together. But you know what? That's not true. Because a relationship ending is not a failure, but rather a success. Because it has taught me so many important lessons about myself, about love, and about what I need in a partner. So, no, it is not a failure. Goodbyes always hurt when you're not ready for it. Even after talking about all of this, I am still a human at the end of the day. For me, I still feel like I go through temporary insanity every day. Sometimes I just want to scream that I hate love and I feel like love hurts and love is all this and all that. And the sadness make it so difficult to focus on anything else. But then oftentimes I would feel very peaceful again. Ultimately, I still feel that I love love because it can be such a meaningful and vulnerable human experience. So maybe, after all, maybe 2025 is the year for heartbreak, but also the year to rediscover love in other ways, not just romantic relationship. Because love is still everywhere even after a heartbreak. Love for all of the people, friends, family, art, music, pets, flowers, movies, places, scents, and everything and everyone that touched me and continue to touch me. Love for myself, especially right now. Love for all of my chaotic emotions. Love for my effort to journal things down. Love for my courage to ask other people to meet me at this vulnerable and heartbroken stage. And eventually, in the aftermath of a relationship ending, I know that all of the love that I gave is coming back, pouring into me. This video, much like my thoughts these days, is all over the place, but the things that I really want to emphasize is 1, do not downplay your feelings. 2, trust the healing process. And 3, smile when something makes you smile, even if there is so much heaviness right now. I hope you enjoyed what I shared, and I'll continue coming back to my YouTube channel when I feel ready because honestly, I really love making these videos and reflecting on these experiences when I can. I cannot promise you that I can make another video about my heartbreak in the near future just yet, since I think that there are some feelings and experiences that I need to go on first. But if I'm ready to share anything that I think can help another person while also being mindful of what I share, then I will. Okay? So bye for now and take care.